You know something, Mean Gene?
You're gonna be mine. Woo! He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family.
But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And you will be excellently executed.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Oh yeah.
You are now watching Wrestle Drop on YouTube. The 1998 Royal Rumble was the first edition of the Royal Rumble show. However, this was not a pay-per-view. So, emanating from the Cops Coliseum in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, we had the very first Royal Rumble, but this was aired on the USA Network and was not a pay-per-view show. The show took place on the 21st of January 1988, and I do think this show had the very first Royal Rumble match that was actually aired on TV. I think they tried one or two others on house shows, but I do think this was the very first one that actually saw a television screen. The Royal Rumble has become one of the most iconic shows, one of the most iconic matches, and to be honest, it's a lot of people's favorite show of the year. Like, not even WrestleMania tops a lot of people's list. It's always the Royal Rumble, because there's always that element of surprise. There's that element of uncertainty, because there's 30 men that could essentially win the match. And there's just so much around the match that just makes it so exciting for the casual fan. Every time the Royal Rumble comes around, I get people that aren't even wrestling fans come up to me and be like, the Royal Rumble this weekend, do you want to watch it? And that just shows what the appeal of the Royal Rumble is. With that being said, let's get into the very first one and see if it was anything like the Royal Rumbles we know today. Well, the very first match on the show was what you would think on paper would be an excellent match. We had Rick Rude versus Ricky Steamboat. You see that match on paper, you think, I'm in for a damn good match here. Unfortunately, that's not quite what we got here. It was kind of a snooze fest, if I'm being honest with you, which is odd considering it's Rick Rude and Ricky Steamboat. Anyway, Rude starts off the match with some strikes, but that's quickly followed up by Steamboat strikes of his own. Steamboat tosses Rude off over the top rope, and he starts posing himself, rubbing it in the face of Rick Rude, because we all know Rick Rude loves a little pose or two. There's a test of strength between both men, which Steamboat doesn't actually get the better of in the early stages. Rick Rude is actually the one dominating, but Steamboat eventually works his way out of it with some unique wrestling or some chain wrestling holds of some sort. Some guy throughout the show, I think they eventually took it away from him, or I just blocked it out of my mind. But he had a megaphone, like Jimmy Hart's megaphone that he used to carry around. This guy had that in the front row, and he would pass it around between probably him and his friends or his family, and they would just scream into this megaphone the whole night. Annoying. Really, really, really annoying. And I think they eventually did either tell them to stop, or they took it away from them, because I like I said, I either blocked it out or I didn't hear it anymore. But that was really annoying, and that was particularly strong in this match. So that also didn't help the match at all, I'm just saying. Steamboat then with a double chop, followed by an arm drag and a hammerlock to follow, which he held on for quite a while. And this is when I wrote here, slower match than what I expected, because honestly, it was going at a snail's pace right now. And I thought two things at this point. Either this match is going to go very long, or it's just going to be a snooze fest. Because sometimes when wrestlers go slow in the beginning, it's going to be a long match. But I've seen Steamboat go 60 minutes, and it'd be quicker than this. Rude then fights back with a back elbow, and then he takes advantage for a while. But then Steamboat ducks an attack by Rude, and hits another arm drag into another armbar. A lot of holds in this match for some reason. Rude then is forced to use heel tactic as he lands a shot to the eye of Steamboat, which allows him to take advantage. And then Rude pushes Steamboat into the apron at ringside. They've now fallen there, or found a way to the outside, which then follows up with a power slam on the floor. Rick Rude then locks in a camel clutch variant, which he locks in for what feels like forever. But Steamboat gets his way out of it by somehow getting into an electric chair position and then dropping Rick Rude with an electric chair drop. Steamboat then smashes Rude's face into the turnbuckle with the crowd counting to 10 with each smash. And then a quick roll-up attempts by both men, and this is where the pace started picking up nicely, and I thought, okay, maybe we're building to something here. So there was roll-ups and 2 counts and all of that. And then eventually Steamboat with a nice vertical suplex, which he follows up with a crossbody, but Rude pulls the ref in the way, and the ref eats the crossbody. Rude then locks in the Canadian backbreaker. The ref gets up, he rings the bell. Rude thinks he's won the match. The crowd think Rude have won the match, because did Steamboat quit? But no, Steamboat did not quit. The ref actually ruled for a DQ, considering Rude pulled him in front. And I thought, oh, really, a DQ? A DQ win to Ricky Steamboat. Fine, Ricky Steamboat got the win. But after all that, you put me through such a slow, enduring match, and you ended off with a DQ. What was the payoff? What was the payoff for me, the fan? Nothing. Nothing. You just made me watch a long, boring match that ended with a silly finish. Like, you honestly could have had somehow Rick Rude get the win in that situation, or somehow have Steamboat fight back out of it and still get the win. Really silly. Steamboat with the winner, of course. The match got a bit more exciting towards the end, but the finish fell flat. 2.25 stars. It could be lower. I actually think it should be lower. You know what? 2-star match. Ricky Steamboat and Rick Rude put on a 2-star match. Who would have thought? We then had what might have been the longest segment in WWF history. We had Dino Bravo trying to attempt a bench press record. So it's him, Mean Gene's up there, and Jesse Ventura's up there to spot him. They basically work their way up with a whole bunch of weights. They do about 4 or 5, maybe 6 different weights, warming up Dino Bravo, with a lot of stalling in between as the fans boo, and Dino Bravo does not want to lift any bench press, or doesn't want to do any bench press reps with the fans booing him, so he walks off a couple times and stalls, and takes forever. I think this segment went on for a good 20 odd minutes. It felt like that anyway. Eventually, though, he does do the bench press, but it looks like Jesse Ventura helps him a lot as the spotter and helps him get it to the top. Complete waste of time this was. I'm sure it's going to lead to a story of some sort, but what's the story? What's the story? Maybe we'll see something in the future, but what a waste of time. They could have let him warm up once or twice and then moved into it, but honestly, waste of time. We then had probably the match of the night. Spoiler alert. Is it the match of the night? It sure is the match of the night. Spoiler alert. The Glamour Girls versus the Jumping Bomb Angels for the WWF Tag Team Championships in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Got match of the night. And it wasn't even fantastic. It was good. It was decent. It wasn't as good as their match I watched in 1987 at a MSG show. This fell short of that. And I think it might have been the 2 out of 3 falls stipulation that brought it down. But let's get into it. Leilani Kai starts off hot and dominates Tateno early on. But Izuki with a nice, beautiful deadlift gut wrench suplex gets the Bomb Angels the advantage a little bit later. JC Ventura calls out Vince for not knowing either of the Jumping Bomb Angels' names. And then we get some quick, fast-paced action between the Bomb Angels and the Glamour Girls. We get double figure fours by the Jumping Bomb Angels onto both Glamour Girls, but that doesn't lead to anything. Judy Martin catches the legs of Izuki and drops her to the mat. This is like in a drop kick type attack, and then she catches the legs and drops her to the mat. We then get a reverse powerbomb by Judy Martin to Izuki, and that gets the Glamour Girls the first fall of the match. We then get a double vertical suplex by the Bomb Angels, and shortly after, the Glamour Girls accidentally clothesline each other. Izuki rolls up Judy Martin for a pinfall, making it 1 fall each, making it 1-1 to the match. Next fall wins. All of a sudden, after the commercial break, now Vince McMahon knows the names of the Jumping Bomb Angels, and he's constantly saying Izuki and Nario, constantly. So I don't know if he's just trying to prove a point here or what Vince was doing, but yeah. This was not quite as good as the 1987 match, unfortunately. I just have to say that again. Lots of heel work by the Glamour Girls, which was great. Like, their heel work is fantastic. But we get a big knee drop from the top from Tateno, but Judy Martin kicks out of that. And then we get a double drop kick from the Jumping Bomb Angels, and that gets them the pinfall victory, making it 2-1. And we get new WWF World Women's Tag Team Champions in the Jumping Bomb Angels. I think it's a well-deserved victory for the Jumping Bomb Angels. They consistently put on one of, if not the best matches on every show that I watched them on so far. Honestly, fantastic. The only issue I have, which also drove the match rating down, is the pinfall for the final pin. For some reason, one of the Jumping Bomb Angels got their hand under the shoulder and lifted the shoulder of Judy Martin. So it wasn't a clear pinfall. I don't know if that was intentional for a story. We'll find out. But it looked poor. It looked like a silly mistake. But the winners, the Jumping Bomb Angels, they retained. The match was good. Nowhere near the match in 1987. I'll say that again. It felt like they weren't given as much freedom in this match as they were at MSG, and that's possibly because this one was aired live to TV. So I still gave it a rating of 3. It was still some really good work, but I'm comparing it to a top 5 match of 1987. I'm comparing it to the best women's match I've ever seen during this retro timeline. You know, up until this point, from 83 to 87, that is the best women's match I've seen. Not that I've seen too many compared to the men's, but still right up there. So, yeah, 3 stars for that match. And we then move on to Hogan and Andre with a contract signing. They basically play a whole promo package early on leading up to this point, which was pretty good. And then we get them in the ring, sitting down with a table. I think Jack Tunney is sitting there. We got Ted DiBiase. We got Andre the Giant. And we got Hulk Hogan. And I think we also have Virgil. So Andre's hesitant to sit at the table. I don't know if he's hesitant to sit at the table because Hulk Hogan is in front of him, or if he's hesitant to sit at the table because there's a tiny ass chair that he has to sit on, and he might potentially break that chair. No lies. I was thinking that. I was thinking, is this man scared to sit on that chair? Because it might break underneath him. But anyway, Andre is hesitant to sit. He eventually does sit down, and this is when Ted DiBiase taunts and moans at Hogan, encouraging him to sign the contract. Hogan does sign the contract and passes it on to Andre, who takes his time to sit and go through the contract and sign it. Andre eventually does sign the contract, and Ted tells him to put, Ted DiBiase that is, not Ted Turner, tells him to put his official stamp of approval on the contract. And this is when Andre attacks Hogan, pulling him down into the table. And they commentary went mad for this. They said it was the most vicious attack they've ever seen. They said, how can Andre do that? Meanwhile, every single contract signing in WWE in 2025, someone goes through a table. I just find it funny. This was like the most shameless act of all time compared to what happens now. But yeah, it was there. We got a contract signing. I suppose it was just to get a bit of a pop on the rating without actually featuring Hogan on the card. Anyway, we then have the first ever Royal Rumble, and no, it is not the main event of the show. The Royal Rumble is not the main event. Make that make sense. Anyway, we then, I don't know if it was a timing issue. Actually, that is a good question. Was this a timing issue? Did they throw something else on the card because this didn't go as long as they wanted? I don't know. Anyway, we had this is all. No, I'm not going to name all the people that were in the Royal Rumble. That's just silly. Let's just start off with who started in the ring. We had Bret Hart and Tino Santana at 1 and 2, who put on some decent work with the opening 2 wrestlers. Of course, they put on decent work. It's Bret Hart and Tito Santana. Number 3 came Bush Reed, where Tito smashes Bush Reed and Bret Hart headfirst into each other. And they're clearly still keeping heels versus baby faces a thing in this match, which is interesting because the modern day Royal Rumble, heels versus babyface for the most part is not a thing at all. Not a thing at all. You attack who you want. But they do have stories where certain people attack certain people, so it kind of does still have the heel face dynamic, but it's not as clear cut as this. Nowhere near. So that's interesting. In at number 4 comes Jim Neidhart. So right now Tito Santana is being triple teamed on by Bret, Butch Reed, and Jim Neidhart. But in comes Jake Roberts at number 5, and Jake immediately eliminates Butch Reed and targets the Hart Foundation. Number 6 is Harley Race. Number 7 is Jim Brunzell. Number 8 is Sam Houston. The Hart Foundation then throw out Tito Santana finally. And then at number 9, we get Danny Davis. Number 10, we get Boris Zirkov. Number 11, we get Don Morocco, who, funny enough, came out with Nikolai Volkov at the same time, and they had like a little scruffle to see who would enter the match first. But then at number 12 entered Nikolai Volkov, as he was just standing at ringside waiting for his number. Don Morocco then eliminated Harley Race. Jim Duggan came in at number 13. Ron Bass came in at number 14. Jim Brazil gets eliminated by Jake Roberts. And then at number 15 is Brian Blair. Number 16 is Hillbilly Jim. And then Jim Neidhart gets eliminated by Hillbilly Jim. Sam Houston gets eliminated by Ron Bass. The Ultimate Warrior comes in at 17. Don Morocco eliminates Bret Hart, finally, after being in the match at number 1. Then the One Man Gang comes in at 18. Dino Bravo at 19. The One Man Gang then eliminates just about everybody at this point. Everybody. So that was pretty interesting. They really made him look like a giant. JYD comes in the final number 20 because, yes, this is only a 20-man Royal Rumble match, not the 30-man Royal Rumble match that we've come to know. And yeah, the final four were One Man Gang, Dino Bravo. No, sorry. The final four were Dom Morocco, Dino Bravo, One Man Gang, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Dino Bravo and One Man Gang target Jim Duggan, but he soon fights back and eliminates them both. And then, of course, Dom Morocco was also eliminated, making Hacksaw Jim Duggan the first ever Royal Rumble winner in the year 1988. Did he get anything for winning this? No. Did it matter much? No. But did this show that the Royal Rumble can be something to have a pay-per-view around? Can be something to celebrate? Yes, and it would become that in future years. The match was decent. It lacked any memorable moments. It lacked star power, to be honest. I mean, there was no, for example, no Steamboat, no Savage, no Hogan, no... Who else are we missing? No Andre, for one. No Ted DiBiase. No Honky Tonk Man. No... I'm just thinking big champions and big names, you know. It lacked quite a lot of people for this time. It lacked the Bulldogs, but I think they were already out of the WWF at this time. So it certainly lacked a lot of star power. Therefore, I gave the match a 2.75 star rating, above average, decent Royal Rumble, but nothing special, nothing to write home about. But it showed that it can be something special. It showed that it had potential. We then move on to the main event, and probably the most boring main event I've ever watched in my life. We had the Islanders of Haku and Tama taking on the Young Stallions of Jim Powers and Paul Roma in another best 2 out of 3 falls match. Why are we having another tag team match with the same stipulation? Why? I wrote here, why is this match even happening after the Royal Rumble? This was not needed. I wrote you also, why is the second 2 out of 3 falls match on the card? This was fairly back and forth between both teams. I don't really want to do too much play-by-play because this was genuinely that redundant. It was not important. There was in between the falls, one fall, there was a Andre interview, like an Andre the Giant interview that went on for long, very long. So long that even the babyface team who got pinned of the Young Stallions, they went back into the locker room before coming out for the second fall. So apparently in the middle of a 2 out of 3 falls match, these guys went into the locker room and they decided we're going to go chill back there. And then they came back out for the second fall. What were the crowd doing for all that time? And there was a commercial break in between all that. So yeah, the crowd was dead. The momentum was dead. Anyway, big splash from the Islanders to get the second fall for the victory. The Islanders won. This was a waste of time. Standard work, but wrong position on the card. They were set up to fail. 1.25 stars. I've got nothing more to say about that match. Nothing more. As a whole, the show had good production. We had good commentary throughout the show. And WWE are really excelling on how to produce a show at this point, because we've seen them grow from 1985 to where they are now just 3 years later, and what they're able to put on. And I think this show established that a Royal Rumble can be something important. It enhanced Andre versus Hogan in their contract and their interviews that their contract signing and their interviews that they had throughout the night. And you know what? Let's move on to WrestleMania 4, because that is the next WWF event. This is setting up for WrestleMania 4, where not the greatest WrestleMania from my memory. But, oh yeah, in between that though, we do get Andre versus Hogan 2 at main event, where they had the match and it got the highest ratings in wrestling history with 33 million viewers. I forgot about that. That's another thing. Should we do a little quick video on that? Maybe. But the next video you guys will see on your feed from me is NWA Bunkhouse Stampede from the year 1988. And then thereafter, WrestleMania 4 and Clash of Champions. Yes, I will be doing the Clash of Champions shows because I just think they were like mini pay-per-views compared to main event. Main event was just not enjoyable to watch after a certain extent, and the matches felt meaningless. But Clash of Champions is up there. And then thanks to one of you lovely subscribers, Eric Munez, we will be looking at Super Clash 3 because he has asked me to look at that card, which I'm actually excited for. That will be towards the end of the 1988 year. I think it'll be the second, if not the last show of the year. So if you guys have more suggestions for shows that you'd like to see from me, let me know down in the comments. I'm open to do them. I'm sure I'll be down to do whatever you guys suggest down in the comments. And thank you guys for all the feedback on the last video with the 5-star situation where I wasn't sure if I should lower my bar. Some of you guys said those were 5-star matches, but I shouldn't lower my standards in any way. And I think the general consensus was just keep doing it the way you're doing it. So thank you for that, guys. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace.